I waited in bated breath, fear trickling down my spine making my body numb, my throat dry even though I had just drank from my canteen. Never in my life did I think that I would be in this state. My comrades to my side, I could see that they too were scared. I gripped my weapon even harder as the forest ahead buzzed with twigs breaking and leaves crunching. They were here. We are the Lorianks, we eradicated countless galaxies, and those that were lucky enough to survive now serve us as their master. Our species were the very first in the galaxy to break the confines of our planet. Before our conquest, we waged a genocidal war against our predator, a war that lasted centuries devastating our world, leaving us as the sole winner. Ever since our victory we discovered something extraordinary, a byproduct of our long war. We did not know what it was nor did we know how to use it, but to my species, it was the start of our galaxy-wide conquest. It gave us, upon deciphering, instructions on how to build ships that would take us to the farthest stars and the darkest voids. From then on our species became nomads, going from galaxy to galaxy, planet to planet, conquering everything in our sight. We encountered the Zarians first, they no longer exist, and so do the Itrians, Zolo, Krits, and many more. They tried to resist of course, though it was futile, their weapons did not even make a dent in ours. We eradicated those who showed defiance, and enslaved those who were obedient and useful. For thousands of years this was our way of life. That was until we scanned one of the last systems near us. Probes were dispatched, and on one of the planets we were informed of the existence of a new unidentified race. Poor sods, they were primitive, and from photos, they were far, far inferior. They lacked any form of protection, they were far smaller than even our shortest warrior. All in all, they were lacking, inferior, and conquest estimates only a few months, maybe even more if we decide on eradication. Our species were gifted, our physiology made it hard for other species to wound or kill us. Our outer skin was hard, though our belly was vulnerable, so we usually wore armor to protect it. Our head sported 4 eyes, 2 to the side, and the rest facing forward, 2 pointy ears, and 2 nose holes just above our front eyes. We had 4 arms. 2 of them were as long as our body, while the other was only half as long, sporting 3 fingers on each arm. Our hind legs were short, meant for bursts of speed. A durable body with bursts of speed coupled with weapons weight difference and size, it was no wonder that it was deemed it only a couple of months for full planetary conquest. I was appointed as squad lead. We were numbering around 10,000 warriors with our group fully armored and eager for conquest. Multiple shuttles flew, landing in multiple sites. The plan was to conquer the immediate surroundings before linking up with the others. We landed and the very first thing we saw was the beautiful green forest. It was dense but not dense enough to darken it. Sliver of sunlight slipped through the forest illuminating it. Our conquest had officially started. It was typical that we burned and killed anything unfortunate to cross us. The natives here were far more barbaric than we initially thought. They held crude weapons of wood and metal, but the funniest of all is that they all fought naked, with no armor, only a cloth that covered their groins. We moved south towards a peninsula shaped like a boot heel, but before the great mountains we stop. Our kind cannot stand the cold. It doesn't mean we can't cross it, we just don't want to. So we decided to find another way. This was a mistake. We found the very first military force, and we battled them, and on those plains, we were defeated, badly. We retreated, they caught up, we lost more men, retreated, they caught us again, repeat. Communications were useless in this world, they were so underdeveloped, therefore nowhere to connect, and we were alone. We only had around 3,000 left. Our commander was sick of running. We decided to stand and fight to the last man, and to achieve this we positioned ourselves along a large body of flowing water. To our north was forest, then a clearing of grass and flowers. To our west and east were small hills, where a small force was located. Our commander made it clear, we would break them here. They would run with their tail between their legs, broken, and anyone who would dare run in fear would no longer be Lorianks. I waited in bated breath, fear trickling down my spine making my body numb, my throat dry even though I had just drank from my canteen. never in my life did I think that I would be in this state. My comrades to my side, I could see that they too were scared. I gripped my weapon even harder as the forest ahead buzzed with twigs breaking and leaves crunching. They were here. The very first of our enemies emerged from the forest, then followed by more and more. They were far smaller than us, but we know due to our prior encounters, they are not to be underestimated. They lined up matching our length, though I do not know how deep their ranks are. Intimidation is a tradition in battle. All of us together surged forward, screaming as loud as we could before returning to the battle line. We did this multiple times as the enemy readied their forces. We stared them down, for what felt like an hour before suddenly, they chanted. In unison, they grunted as step by step they slowly approached us. Our commander shouted for us to charge. I ran as fast as I could, confident that we could break them here. After all, our prior battles surely lessened their numbers. Before the lines crashed, they threw whatever they were holding, a spear, with a base made of wood, but not all the way. Half of it was made of thin metal with a pointy tip. Many of my comrades were hit. They tried to take it out, but the thin metal made it hard to grip. They would bend upon impact, though I do now know why. Some were successful in taking it out, with it a chunk of their flesh. I could see their blood dripping in large quantities, but still we charged. Then another volley of those spears, only this time, most of it punched through our natural armor, impaling any unfortunate soul. We were only a few more meters before clashing. They drew their weapons in unison. The lines crashed, and we easily broke through them. With our mass and speed we ended up deep in their lines. I was around 4 ranks deep in enemy lines. I swung and swung, flinging any enemy near me, flattening some, and for a few minutes without knowing I dug deeper and deeper into the enemy lines. It was hot. Somewhere near my leg, I could feel heat seemingly dripping. I looked around and saw that one of them had stabbed me in the leg. I swatted him like a fly. Snap! I felt something pierced my side. It was one of those spears. Without even knowing, I instinctively got down to one knee, surrounded by what seemed to be a great number of enemies. They stabbed me with their weapon, again and again. I tried to swat them away, but my strength slowly left my body. I looked around. I could see my comrades slowly being overrun, some full of those spears. I was now on both knees, still surrounded. One of the enemies stepped forward, and now I see them, bipedal, with 2 arms, 5 digits, 2 front eyes, and their torso and head covered in metal, but this one, unlike the other, had hair above his helmet, deep red. He motioned to his comrade, and another from the crowd walked up to him. He had an animal carcass above him rather than a metal helmet holding some sort of flag. Its tip was some sort of animal, and on it said SPQR. They're on my last length of life. They talked to me. I could not understand what was said, but I'm sure it was full of insults and anger. History of Ancient Extraterrestrial Encounters. History Log Number 27. Name, unknown. Information, one of the soldiers in the Roman Lorainx War. One of the few intact memory chips recovered from the very first battle sites. The Roman Lorainx War lasted for about 3 years before the Lorainx retreated to the void. This was one of the very first recorded extraterrestrial encounters of humanity before FTL. 2 Roman legions on their way to Gaul annihilated 10,000 Lorainx in multiple pitched battles, wherein they would intentionally absorb the Lorainx momentum before pelting them with pylons. This would come in handy when they were in a fight with elephants of Hannibal.